Mata ki Sri Ram, my dear devotees. Abhijishu Swagatam, welcome to this humble place of worship, the Radha Krishna Mandir, where we are gathered here once more to offer prayer and pratishtha to the lotus-like feet of Bhagwan. Tonight is truly an honor and privilege to be in your accompaniments, pleasure, to be in the spirit of bhakti and devotion. And whenever we enter a mandir, we don't just come as strangers who have our own lives and have our own dealings. We come together as a family to propagate Dharma. Unity in prayer, unity in faith, unity in the love of Bhagwan. Give me a little less effects. Firstly, I'd like to offer my humble pranams and respects to Pandit Gan, to the founder and the spiritual leader of this organization, the one who physically erected these four walls, Pandit Radha Krishna Sharma, whose efforts, whose devotion, whose sacrifice allowed us to all come together in prayer. Humble respects and pranams. And also heard yesterday, I was listening to the live stream, yesterday made 7 years of him leaving this mortal coil. So happened we are here in a time like this in Navratri, in these walls to propagate Dharma. I pay respects next to Pandit Raviji, who was here last night, who offered his seva, who gave his katha, and we'll be hearing more of him later on in the rest of the nights. I pay my respects to Pandit Rikji, who is here nightly, doing his seva, performing his devotion to Bhagwan, and doing daily puja. Thank you, Pandit. I take a few minutes again to say thank you to my parents, my mom, my dad, Mataji, Pitaji. I wouldn't be here without them, so thank you so much for love, support. To my siblings, my in-laws, to my little baby niece, who you'll see dance for everyone in a little bit. To my Devi, Shri Devi, who is listening online virtually. To her mom and dad, whose love, support has helped this katha and with preparation and practice nightly. Thank you to them, all our online viewers listening on Facebook, YouTube, near and far. To the members of this organization, running a temple is not easy by any means. Uncle Tony, Auntie Mati, Uncle Ram, all the rest aunties and uncles. It takes a lot of work, selfless dedication, especially in Navratri, where it's 9 nights over and over again to set up, to do, to clean up. Thank you for giving me this opportunity. And to the rest of you devotees, we would not have a satsang if it's not for all of us coming together and joining together. I don't like to call it, divine intervention per se, it's a westernized term, but I like to call it karmic destiny. You all could have virtually been anywhere else. You could have been at home, you could have been watching Netflix, you could have been at another mandir, but you've chosen tonight not just to hear a few words from me, or join together in dinner together later on, but you chose to sit at the feet of Bhagwan in this form, in these murtis. And being here, we are going to hear tonight of a special individual. Tonight is night 2 of Navratri. It says, Pratamam Shaila Putricha, Dvitiyam Brahmachari. Last night you would have heard, I'm sure, Shaila Putri Mata, the daughter of the mountain, who is steadfast, who is strong as a rock. She symbolizes the foundation of Navratri. First night we start with a firm footing. No building can ever be constructed without a strong footing, right? Foundation. Night 2, tonight, we hear of a Devi named Brahmacharani. And Brahmacharani Mata, she is a Devi who represents tapasya, who represents ultimate sacrifice. Brahma in this term means tapasya, and Charani means the one who walks that path. So Brahmacharani together is the Devi who walks the path of sacrifice. And if you see a picture of her, or image of her, or murti of her, she's depicted as wearing white sari, beautiful form. In one hand, she holds a rosary, the Jap Mala, where she's constantly doing repetition of mantra. In the next hand, she holds the kamandalu. Shows simplicity of living, not much of gold or riches, but kamandalu filled with water. And she is the one who has ultimate sacrifice. And this Brahmacharini Devi, when we look at her, we see this form that exudes all simplicity. At tonight's Katha, and this is my preamble, tonight's Katha, we have another individual in Ram Chatramanas, who was the Devi who represented sacrifice. But before we hear that, we join in Vandana, the repetitions of various mantras to attune our mind, our body, our spirit in that of praying and praising Bhagwan. If you have your urni, please cover your head. If you don't, close your eyes, bow your head, clasp your hands as you join in mantra to prostrate yourselves at the feet of Bhagwan. Hari Namaste Vyas Vishal Buddhe Pula नेत्रः येन त्वया वार्ततेन प्रज्वालितो ज्ञानमया प्रदीपः अखण्डमण्डलाकारं व्याप्तं येन चराचरं तत्पदं दर्शितं येन तस्मै श्री गुरवे नमः। गुरुर्ब्रह्मा गुरुर्विष्णु गुरुर्देवो महेश्वरः गुरुर्साक्षात् परब्रह्मा तस्मै श्री गुरवे नमः। ॐ रामाय रामभद्राय रामचन्द्राय वेदसे रघुनाथाय नाथाय सीताय पतये नमः। नीलाम्बुजश्यामलकोमलाङ्गं सीतासमारूपितुवामपादं पाणो महाशायकचारुचापं नमामि रामं रघुवंशनाथम्। ॐ श्रीरङ्गरामाय नमः। ॐ या कुन्देन तुषारहारधवला या शुभ्रवस्त्राभिया या विना न पश्यन्ति सिद्धस्वान्तस्तमीश्वरः। ॐ सिद्धि बुद्धि प्रदे देवी बुद्धि मुक्ति प्रदायिनी मंत्रमृते सदा देवी महालक्ष्मी नमोस्तुते। लक्ष्मी करो तु कल्याणम् आरोग्यं सुखसम्पदम् माम शत्रो विनाशाय दीपज्योते नमोस्तुते। सर्वमङ्गलमाङ्गल्ये शिवे सर्वार्थसाधिके शरण्ये त्र्यम्बके गौरी नारायणी नमोस्तुते। कर्पूरगौरं करुणावतारं संसारसारं भुजगेन्द्रहारं सदा वसन्तं हृदयारविन्दे भवं भवानी सहितं नमामि। ॐ नमः शिवाय। ॐ नमः शिवाय। ॐ नमः शिवाय। ॐ वर्णानां वर्तसङ्गानां रसानां चन्द्रसामपि मङ्गलानां च कर्तारो वन्दे भानि विनायको भवानी शङ्करो वन्दे श्रद्धा विश्वासरूपिणो याव्यां विना न पश्यन्ति सिद्धस्वान्तस्तमीश्वरम् वन्दे भूयतं नित्यं गुरुं शङ्करोऽपिनं यमश्रितो हि वक्रोऽपि चन्द्रसर्वज्ञवन् सुमिरत सिद्धि होई गणनायक करि वर भजना जो सुमिरत सिद्धि होई गणनायक करि वर भजना करहु अनुग्रह सुमिरत सिद्धि होई गणनायक करि वर भूत होई माता पंकज गिरिवर जासु कृपा सुदया प्रभु सकल करि जो सुमिरत सिद्धि होई गणनायक करि वर करहु अनुग्रह सोई बुद्धि राशि शुभ गुण सदा वीर सरोरु हर्षा करुणारुणमयि नयना करहु मम गुणगान सदा सागर सया जो सुमिरत सिद्धि होई गणनायक करि वर करहु अनुग्रह सोई बुद्धि राशि शुभ गुण सदा समले कुमार मन करुणायना जाहि लीला परमे करहु कृपा मन गणमाया जो सुमिरत सिद्धि होई गणनायक करि वर जो सुमिरत सिद्धि होई गणनायक करि वर बंदो गुरु कृपा सिंधु नर रूप हरि महामोहतम जासु वचन रवि गीत जो सुमिरत सिद्धि होई गणनायक करि वर करहु अनुग्रह सोई बुद्धि राशि शुभ गुण सदा बुद्धि राशि शुभ गुण सदा बुद्धि राशि शुभ गुण सदा श्याम रामचंद्र की जय। My devotees, प्यारी भक्तों, after listening to those mantras, after the performance of Vandana, what we have really done for ourselves, we have now quieted the mind. We have offered ourselves in prayers, and now our heart and our intellect is ready to listen to Hari Katha. And you see, Katha is not just storytelling, not just story time with Baba, not just me here giving you different stories, but Katha is a mirror into which we will see our own life and reflect and introspect. Devotees, all of you know, as I mentioned before, we are in a currently holy, auspicious period known as Navratri. 9 sacred nights we will worship this Divine Mother in different forms. And I say it again for those who wasn't here earlier before Vandana. What is tonight's layout? What are we trying to accomplish from tonight's Katha? This is a night dedicated to Brahmacharani Mata. Pratamam Shaila Putrishad Britiyam Brahmacharani. Brahmacharani, that form of tapasya, that form of sacrifice. She is the one who has all the sacrificial nature. What we strive to be when we are performing Vrat or fast. But before we can understand more, we have to understand and learn who Brahmacharani was. Brahmacharani Devi was this form of young Parvati Mata, the Parvati that we hear about in all the Leelas and Kathas. Before she became that consort of Shiva, she was performing intense tapasya. At first, this Brahmacharani, when she was in form of Parvati, she only ever ate fruits. Eventually, she then gave up and started to only eat leaves. And eventually, she gave up even that, and she gave up food and water alike. Continuing with her meditation and her determination, and with faith, years passed by, time passed by, seasons changed, but one thing that hadn't changed was her devotion to God. And I remind those of you, if you look at Brahmacharani Mata, Google it after Katha, she's the form depicted in a white sari, Kamandalu in her hand, Japmala in her next hand. And you will notice something very beautiful about her form. She isn't like some of these deities and devatas that are holding weapons. She's holding the Mala and the Kamandalu. Simple living. She represents that form of purity, that form of peace, that form of inner strength. And true strength is not always shown in weapons or how fierce we are. Sometimes the greatest strength that we have are the ones of patience or the one of discipline. And the same way Brahmacharani Mata did her sacrifice to attain Shiva, we are going to have another individual tonight. I chose this Katha because it mirrors from the Ramchatramanas another individual, another devotee of God, just like you, who lived in the same spirit, whose entire life became that of tapasya, someone who waited for Bhagwan, not days, not months, not years. I ask you tonight a question, I pose it to you, my devotees, this question. Do we wait for Bhagwan? Do we wait for Bhagwan to give us an answer? Do we wait for Bhagwan to show us something? Do we wait to mere minutes and seconds after offering prasad and say, Bhagwan, give me that answer? Or do we wait time and time again, just like this devotee? She waited again, not days, not months, not even years. I'm talking about decades she waited. And she goes by the name of Shabari. I'm sure we're familiar with this Katha. We've heard Shabari many times over. But before we get into reading the Chaupais and the Dohas, I want to give you a bit of a background of who Shabari was. I'm going to paint a picture tonight. Where she came from, what did she look like? Shabari was born into a tribal community. The community of forest dwellers. This community of people who lived on the edge and the outskirts of society. They did not live in temples, they did not live in holy pilgrimages. They were not at the center of anything. And in that world that they lived in, certain people were told, quietly and not so quietly at times, that they couldn't even achieve God. Just imagine. It goes on in today's world, you know. People are trying to attain God, people are trying to worship, people are trying to do and they can't. Where Shabari came from, they didn't allow them to do that. They didn't allow them to even know or hear the name of God. They told her type of people that temple wasn't for them, that Bhagwan wasn't for them, that it belonged to others. And you know what was extraordinary about Shabari? She did not let those words get to her. She did not let the opinions of society get to her. She did not get the opinions of the world to get to her. She knew what she wanted. She knew her love for Bhagwan. And she was steadfast on achieving that. And years later, as Shabari grew older, her family was preparing for her wedding. And as part of the feast, in the festive activities, Many different types of animals were being brought to sacrifice. Goats, sheep, different four-legged creatures. Innocent creatures, tied, prepared, bounded, ready to sacrifice. To them, it was simply a tradition. But to Shabari, her heart was somewhere else. She looked at those animals and she looked at them, and in their eyes, something said to her, this is wrong. Devotees, have you ever had that moment? Where you would have seen something or someone around you, an instance in your own life where you said, this is wrong. This isn't right. And that epiphany happened to Shabari. And the hardest part for her was not knowing that the action was wrong in itself, The hardest part was that it was wrong, but she didn't have the courage at the time to do something about it. But she mustered it up. She took in a breath, held her chest out high and said, you know what, I'm going to have the courage. I'm going to make a decision without argument, without anger, without hate, without anything. I'm going to make a decision to leave this environment that I am not comfortable with. Shabari left her home, she left her family. A young woman, imagine, picture it, visualize this katha. A young woman alone, leaving her family, heading out into the forest. She has no path ahead of her. She has no guarantee what her life would be or what her life would merely become. But devotees, when someone, and I share this with you, when someone walks a path, whether it's in your own life, in your job, in your school, in academia, in whatever you're doing, when you're walking a path with a pure heart, when even maybe you may seem as no light in front of you, who holds that flashlight, that torchlight? Who holds that? Bhagwan. Though she had no way of going, she was walking with a pure heart out of the home where she came from. And so she walked through the darkness, through the trees, through the unknown, until finally she arrives at an ashram of a sage known as Mata Rani. Devotees, understand what she was walking into. I understand where she came from and where she's going. She enters an ashram of Mata Rani, a place where is held with great rishis and sages and munis, learned men of scripture, men of wisdom, and there she was, a tribal girl, entering this ashram. And when Shabari walks in and she stands in front of Mata Rani, many people come to saints, or they come to pundits, or they come to prohits, or they come to saintly people with desires. But Shabari didn't come asking for anything. Shabari didn't come just for asking for knowledge, or come asking for mantras, or come asking for miracles. She came with asking one thing to Mata Rani. And I ask you tonight, what do you ask of Bhagwan when you come here? All of us are having our own innate desires. We all come here, and it's a fascinating and beautiful thing. Many times, all of us come here with something in here. They say a modern term of, having in your closet different emotions. We all have something here that maybe I don't know, maybe you may not know, and you'll find out eventually, but there's something in you, innately, that you want to talk to or ask of Bhagwan. And Shabari met the saintly person. So too, if you meet a saintly person, you'll have that and you'll be like, Baba, let me ask you this. Or Pandit, let me ask you this. Shabari goes to Mata Rani's ashram and she doesn't seek anything. But she says these words to Mata Rani. She says, Sage, please allow me to serve. Please allow me to serve you. This is something beautiful. She didn't come to take anything, but she came to give herself to the ashram, give herself to Sage Mata Rani. And Mata Rani, he allowed her to stay in the ashram. Though she wasn't a scholar, though she wasn't disciplined, though she was just a mere servant at the time, she accepted that role with immense, immense joy. She didn't take it with shame or resentment, but pure joy that she got to serve. Because she understood something. She understood something that many of us forget at times. That is not the title or the name or the fame in doing seva. It is the ability to do it unconditionally, looking for anything in return. That's when we're truly blessed, And he gave her this one instruction. He told her, he says, Shabari, I want you to understand something, that one day Shri Ram himself will come to this ashram. Shri Ram himself will come to this ashram, but remember this: stay, serve, and wait. I'll say it again. Stay, serve, and wait, he tells her. And from that day forward, that became her mantra. Those 3 words became her entire life: stay, serve, wait. Every morning she woke up, she remembered those words. Every morning that she did a task, it was on that promise from the Guru's instruction. Her seva was not just seva in vain, it was an act of preparation, an act of service rightfully. Every morning, before the sun had even touched the treetops, Shabari would wake up, eager. She would say, when is my Ram coming? And you know, her love for God didn't even stop there. Let me tell you how devoted and beautiful this Katha is. Her love for God did not even start there. You know what she did? Sometimes while performing seva and cleaning and taking care of the ashram, she would take up the mantle of sweeping the ashram. So she would take a broom and she would start to sweep the paths and sweep inside. But she knew at times, many times, the broom may miss things. Just like when we clean, right? You use the broom, you don't get everything, so you want to work with a mop. And she would see many small thorns, you know, rose petal thorns, the prickly thing. The tiny sharp things hidden in the grass and in the soil, the rocks that the broom sometimes doesn't always pick up. And the rishis of the ashram, they would walk bare feet every morning in those same paths. So Shabari did something that no one even asked her to do. What did she do? No one instructed her, no one suggested it. It came entirely from the heart of the devotee. She got down on the ground and she started to roll. You may say, but that kind of mad, right? She got down on the ground and she started to roll, to pick up the thorns, pick up the rocks, pick up these things in her skin and her flesh. So that every thorn, every sharp stone, everything that would have been hidden to hurt the feet of a rishi, it took to her flesh instead. That's devotion. That's service, that's seva. She used her own body as an instrument to make sure others were okay. True seva, my devotees, we throw around the word loosely all the time. It's not what we do when it's convenient to us. It's what we do when no one is watching or no one asks of us. As I said earlier, running a mandir is hard. How many times do we bring flowers and say, you know, Bhagwan, this is to adore you and make them all to look beautiful? How many times do we bring a teriyah with parasad, with fruits, banana, grape, whatnot, and say, Bhagwan, I love saying this to him. Bhagwan, when I'm going to have lunch, if it's a Sunday service, I'm going to have dinner with you, Prabhu. I have a teriyah, I have some parasad, Bhagwan, here, this is for you, and some is for me, and we'll eat and communicate with one another. They're not just beautiful idols here, no. They're living entities of energy. Do we do that? Do we think of seva, the offering of continuous giving, unconditionally like Shabari? For a fellow king to say, you know what, I don't want those rishis to get pricked. I'm going to offer my body in service. Devotees, every morning that she crossed that path and walked that path, she would have took that in her skin. And she did not even know it already. That though she was doing that for the rishis, that one day to come, that same path cleared would enter the doorway for Maryada Purushottam Shri Ram, a man amongst men, energy radiant of million suns, to come and bless her in that act of seva. In the next little itihas, it says one morning, a rishi of the ashram was walking the very same path to a riverbank. He was walking that path, a learned man, I tell you. He was a man of great scripture and knowledge. And as he walked, her clothes accidentally brushed against his. And him, instead of seeing a devoted soul, instead of seeing someone who offered herself in seva, so that his feet would not be hurt, he saw one thing. I know sometimes, unfortunately, we are one-pointed in mind. One-pointed mind is good, you know, but not when it's negative. He saw one thing. What did he see? He saw her caste. He saw her lineage. He saw the type of person that she was, or she was at least portrayed to be. And he scorned Shabari. He expressed his disgust, as it says. very badly verbally abusing her. Just imagine a man of faith who's wearing the whites, I would say, would have verbally abused Shabari for just brushing against him. So he went to the river. He went to bathe and purify himself from her. But devotees, when he stepped into that water, it is said that it became red and full of worms. Red and full of worms. Not only, ironically, that it would later be purified by Shabari herself, that water became red and full of worms. The tradition tells us that that water was simply reflecting back into the actions and that of the sage. It was only reflecting back what was already inside him of that sage's mind and heart. The true impurity in that moment wasn't that Shabari brushed against him accidentally. It was not in Shabari's touch. It was in the rishi or the sage's heart. It was in his arrogance, in his pride, in the same qualities that we would preach of all the time not to have. He had years of scripture in his head, but he did not have an ounce of compassion in his heart. And I say knowledge without humility, knowledge without a bit of humbleness is not wisdom. It's just having information. So no matter how learned an individual will be, always, always, always be humble. And devotee, while that rishi was in the river, trying to wash away something that was inside him all along, Shabari was back on that path. She was on that pathway, rolling, collecting thorns in her skin, so that his feet would not be hurt. That contrast, that my devotees, that is the entire philosophy of bhakti. Continuous devotion, even though she was mistreated, even though she was yelled at, even though she was ill-spoken, she continued to do her duty of rolling on that path so the rishis would not get hurt. And one inevitable day came. One inevitable day came when Matanga Rishi had left his mortal body. And just as all great souls must do, he didn't have a mortal form anymore. The other disciples that was part of the ashram, the learned ones, the ones who had great lineages and the ones who had destinations, they began to leave the ashram one by one. They had other ashrams and other paths forward, and Shabari watched all of them go. And when the last disciple disappeared into the forest, the ashram had fell completely silent. So it was just Shabari, all alone, in an empty ashram in this vast forest. Visualize it. They all left because they had no reason to stay. They went on to do their things. But she had every reason to continue to wait. Stay, still, wait, in the words that the Guru told her. And so every morning she continued. She would sweep, she would roll, she would collect, she would taste, she would wait, season after season, year after year. And imagine it, picture it. Shabari's hair is now turning white. Her steps are starting to grow slow. The hands that work ever so hard are starting to show wear and tear. They're starting to show crease. The feet that was ever so vibrant with energy are starting to take trickle steps on those paths every morning. Her body is becoming weathered. She's getting older. But her eyes are still watching the gate. She's still waiting on the Guru's instructions, stay still, wait for Radha Krishna Shri Ram. And devotees, being older, every morning before the sun would ever touch the treetops, before the dew would even form on the trees, she would wake up early. Then Shabari would head into the forest, and she would carry a small basket. And she wasn't just collecting any ordinary fruits. She was collecting offerings for Bhagwan, for Shri Ram himself. She wandered through the trees, gently brushing the leaves, and she would search for the ripest and the sweetest berries. Do we do that when we are performing prayer to Bhagwan? Do we look for the best banana, or the best apple, or the best parasol we can make? Or do we just say, for God? No. She looked for the best of the best for Bhagwan. And every berry that she picked, she would pause and she would watch it. She was worried. Her heart was filled with so much love, but she was worried, she had anxiety. She said, what if the berry that I pick is sour? What if the berry that I pick is sour? What if Bhagwan does not like them? So you know what Shabari did? She took the same berry that she picked for Bhagwan and she tasted it. I know you might say, but that is juta. That is unclean. How she could do such a thing? But no. Shabari tasted a piece of it. And she would say, this one is sweet. My Ram would like this. And in the basket it goes. When she tasted another, she would say, this one is sour. My Ram wouldn't like this. And she would place it gently in the ground. She didn't just fling it out. Place it gently in the ground. And every berry that was chosen was from her heart. Every act of expression of love. And it was not something that she did just once, Every single day for years and years and years. Like I said, until her hair turned white, until she got older. Every day the basket would be prepared. It would not have been accepted if Shri Ram didn't come yet. And it would return to the forest floor to feed the animals. And the next morning she would start again and again and again. And then the day came. Today finally came for her. Her maker, Shri Ram, had arrived. What happens when Shri Ram arrives? We listen together. In beautiful words from Sant Goswami Tulsidas, Ram Charitramana Saranyakan, Ramayana, Doha. We sing together. Ram, Siya Ram, Siya Ram, Jai Jai Ram. Ram, Siya Ram, Siya Ram, Jai Jai Ram. Ram, Siya Ram, Siya Ram, Jai Jai Ram. Ram, Siya Ram. Devotees in just these few lines of Ramayana Doha. Tulsidas has revealed the entire philosophy of devotion, and there's two themes of tonight: sacrifice and devotion. The Lord of the universe, Maryada Purushottam Shri Ram, a man amongst men, has walked in the gate of the ashram, and he approaches the simple devotee, Shabari. There it was. She looked up at the gate, and there were two figures, Shri Ram and Bhai Lakshman. Devotees in that moment, Shabari, her Her body forgot how old it was. Her feet forgot how slow it was. And she ran. And when she reached Shri Ram, there stood the Lord of the universe. Her legs gave way. She fell to the earth. She bowed her head and again 1,000,000 times over at his feet. The lotus-like feet, it says, of Shri Ram. She put him to sit and she says, Prabhu, slowly trembling with tears in her eyes, she offers him the basket. Lakshman, who was watching, he noticed something strange. And he questioned and he says, but these berries have already been tasted. But Shri Ram did not look angry at all. Shri Ram wasn't upset, he wasn't angry, he did not look in scorn. You know what he did? He smiled. He smiled because he knew the devotion, the love from a devotee. Shri Ram was not just tasting the fruit, he was tasting the love. Devotee, this is the essence of bhakti. Not just in the fruit, not just in the rituals that we perform, not just in the perfections of it, but the love behind the offering. Do we have our offerings? Do we give our offerings with love, devotees? Think about it. Every single day, Shabari would prepare her heart, prepare the ashram. She would clean the pathway, she would gather the berries, not for recognition, not for award, but for Shri Ram. And devotees, that is why he came to her. What happens next? We listen to Shabari. And what she says to Shri Ram, the words, the conversation in Ramayana, Chaupai. Tumhi meri mandir, tumhi meri puja, tumhi meri mandir, tumhi meri puja. Jai Ram Shri Rama, Jai Jai Rama, Jai Ram Shri Rama, Jai Jai Rama, Jai Ram Shri Rama, Jai Jai Rama, Jai Ram Shri Rama, Jai Jai Rama. Manjori aage gaye tari, Prabhu ki vibhoti priti ativari, jehi vidhi asuti karehu tumhari, adam jati mein jai matwari. Shri Ram Jai Ram, Jai Jai Ram, Shri Ram Jai Ram, Jai Jai Ram. Adam Jai Adam, Adam Kinari, Jimha Mahame, Mati Mandakari. Kah Raghupati suno, Bhamini Mata, Man hoye pati karinata. Shri Ram Jai Ram, Jai Jai Rama, Shri Ram Jai Rama, Jai Jai Rama. Jati panchi kul dharma gadai, jana bali bali jana guna chakurai. Bhakti hina nar sohe kesa, binu jali bhari nath kiya desa. Shri Ram Jai Ram, Jai Jai Rama, Shri Ram Jai Rama, Jai Jai Rama. Shri Ram Jai Rama, Jai Jai Rama, Shri Ram Jai Rama, Jai Jai Rama. Nauda bhakti kaho to hi pahi, sauda suno jaruman mahi. Pratama bhakti santar kar sanga, dusari rati mama katha prasanga. flowing down her face. Imagine if you had Bhagwan in front of you. What would you do? Tears are flowing down her face. She's in a state of ecstasy. She's seeing Maryada Purushottam Shri Ram. Trembling, she finds her voice. And she says in that moment, Adam ajati mein janam atibari, Adam de Adam Adam atinari, Din ha maha mein mati manga agari. She says, oh, how inferior of caste I am. I am inherent of any intellect. I am dull of mind. I am lower of the lowest, she is saying to Shri Ram. She says, women are the lowest in these times, so she's saying. And among even of them, I am seen as the most sinful. Devotee, she is speaking the truth of the world that she lived in. Standing before Bhagwan, she's carrying these words to her, with her. She's explaining them to Shri Ram. Shabari with no pretense, with no performance, with no pride. Just the complete truth of what she had lived. And as she's confessing herself to Bhagwan, Shri Ram listens, as Bhagwan does, and then he responds. Shri Ram says to her, Kaha Raghupati suno bhamani vata, mano ek bhakti karanata, jati panti kul dharma barai, dhana bala parijan guna chaturai. I am telling you this personally, Shabari, that caste, lineage, family, status, religious standing, none of these are by which the means you can reach to me. None of it, he's saying to Shabari. Bhakti heen nara sohe kesa, binu jala barida teki ajesa. A person without bhakti, how do they appear? A person without bhakti, a person without devotion, how do they appear? Like a cloud without water. All the appearance, all the fullness, all the form, but no substance, no nourishment, no rain, empty. Devotee, this isn't just poetry that Sant Goswami Tulsidas written here. This is spiritual doctrine for which we can learn from. A direct declaration, the words of Shri Ram. You know the Rishi at the river who thought that her touch was scornful? Shri Ram is now calling that touch devotion. In the world where they thought that gender was a limitation, and we are seeing it, you imagine in these times and today's times, Shri Ram says gender is not any guideline that restricts me. He's saying that no birth is a barrier to achieve me. He is saying that my specification, my want, my desire for a devotee is what? Is bhakti, devotion. Devotees, we are sitting here in the middle of Navratri, 9 nights celebrating the divine femininity, the divine Devi, the divine Durga. 9 nights in honoring Shakti in all of her forms and manifestations. Durga, Lakshmi, Saraswati, the 9 Devis. And here in our forest, the male avatar of Sri Hari Vishnu, the Supreme Lord of the world, sits at the feet of a woman called the lowest of the low. And he teaches her. He teaches her personally that Navratri is not just 9 nights of garba, of dancing, of arati, of performance. He reminds her that divinity is not measured by what the world measures it alone. That true Shakti, true power, true devotion has no limits from what society can put on you, or in this instance, what put on Shabari. And he says to her in this moment, he says to her, Now da bhakti kahu, to hi pahi, saudan suno, taru man mahi. Pratama bhakti santar kar sanga, du sarirati mama katha prasanga. What is he saying? He says, Shabari, I am now going to tell you about the 9 steps of devotion. listen carefully, and hold them in your heart. Devotees, I want you to understand something. We're getting to our last leg of Katha. He says, I'm going to teach you all of the 9 steps of devotion. 9 steps to devotion, sorry. Ram is not giving these teachings just to a king or to a rishi or to a pandit. He's not giving them all to the learned and powerful. He's giving them to Shabari. Which means that these 9 steps were always meant for people like us, for devotees. And think of these 9 steps not as a list, but as a ladder. A ladder that each rung that you are climbing takes you higher and higher. We are going to climb this ladder together tonight. Watch how Shabari, without ever reading a single scripture, she had lived the essence of every rung. And to start this ladder, Shri Ram instructs her the first step. He says, Pratama bhakti santara karisanga du sarirati mama katha prasanga. The first step is the devotion of the company of the saints and the wise. And the second is the love and fondness for the stories and discourses and exploits of Bhagwan. Devotees' first step, satsang. What is the company that we keep? Satsang, we hear all the time as Hindus, and West Indian Hindus at that. Sat means truth. Sang means the company in which we keep. So the company of truth. And there's a saying that, show me your friends and I'll show you who you are. Show me the company you are with, and the person that they are with, you will become like them. This is not just philosophy, this is a science that Shri Ram is saying. He's saying that if you spend your evening with people who gossip, what would you tend to do? Gossip. If you spend hours scrolling or doing things of negativity, your mind will become negative. But if you come to Mandir, if you put yourself in spaces where God is remembered, then your mind will begin to change. And you may not even notice it at first, but it will change. You know, someone once told me, or someone once asked me, I should say, but Panditji, why do I need to come to Mandir when I could just pray at home? And I said, well, yes, of course you could. But tell me, when you sit at home alone, who is holding you accountable? And not that we are judgment, no sponsorship, Planet Fitness, we are in judgment-free zone. Mandir is a judgment-free zone. When you come to Mandir rather than being at home, what is holding you accountable? Who is pulling you back when life pulls you away or pulls your mind away? You know, the energy that is kept here. The energy that you can create at home as one person is great. But the energy that we can create here as 50 people, imagine how much that is multiplied. 50 people would sit here, dharam, shanti, prem. 50 people with smiles, 50 people of sounds, or however number I should say. But the majority of us is joining in a vibrational frequency. It's beautiful. So he's telling Shabari, satsang. And you see this mandir, it's not just a building, it's not just walls, it is just sangat. It is the community of truth. And tonight, by being here, you know what you all are awarded? Already you have climbed that first step on the ladder because you are here in satsang. You have practiced that first step already. And Shabari, that moment that she walked into Matangashi's ashram and chose to stay, she had already found her satsang. Step 2 was Katha. Katha, listening to the words of Hari, of the Lord, the pastimes, the exploits. Devotee Katha is not made out to be entertainment, not of me singing many bhajans or making it entertainment. No, Katha is medicine. Our ancient traditions, they understood something so special and sweet that modern psychology can only now begin to confirm that stories, and I say stories for lack of a better term of leelas, but stories can change us in ways that just lectures or just mantras or just rules can. Because there could be rules, right? That we cannot do so and so, we must not do so and so. But hearing them in Katha, hearing them in a manifestation of God taking a human birth to relate to one of us, it makes all the difference. And your whole being, when you hear a story or Leela, a pastime of the Lord, your whole being should receive it. I don't know about you, but when I hear Shri Ram coming and meeting Shabari, I smile because I picture it. When I see the actual inevitable weight that Shabari had, and she was able to do it, I felt for her. When the sage cursed her, I got sad. Because that is what Leela should do. That is what Katha should do. You feel it in all your beings, but you know there's a condition. With everything there's conditions, right? The only way for Katha to work is that you must listen. You must listen and truly listen. Not with one ear while your mind is on the delicious menu that Radha Krishna Mandir always has. Not on the bills that need to be paid tomorrow. Not on what's playing on TV tonight. But you must listen truly with both ears on the exploits of Sri Hari. Deep listening is a spiritual practice in itself, so it wouldn't happen overnight. I do expect all of you to, but constantly hearing Katha. And this is the opportunity for it, you know. This is the opportunity. We have 7 more nights to go to hear Hari Katha, to hear the exploits of God, to hear about Devi and her exploits of Mahishasura and Raktabir and the killing of the demons, or whether it's Ramayana, we can hear something of the Lord. And you know what? How many times have you came to satsang, or you came to a program with something heavy in your heart, and I know you can agree with me, that you came and you sat here with something heavy in this heart, and somewhere in the Katha, the Pandit would have said something, and you would have said, how did he know that? How he know I was dealing with that? How he know I'm stressing over that? How he know that? And I'll tell you the truth, it's not a magical secret. He didn't know. We have no clue. But you know who does know? Bhagwan. Bhagwan knows. And Bhagwan knows how to use that Katha, use that message, use those words to convey something in here. And that is the power of the second step. And tonight, by sitting here and listening, you are practicing it right now. It's 9 steps in the spiritual ladder. We got through 1 and 2. Let us hear about 3 and 4 in Ramayana, Doha. Ram, Siya Ram, Siya Ram, Jai Jai Ram. Ram, Siya Ram, Siya Ram, Jai Jai Ram. Ram, Siya Ram, Siya Ram, Jai Jai Ram. Jai Pada Pankaj Seva, Tisari Bhakti Aman, Chauti Bhakti Mama Gunagan, Karika Pati Tajidan. Service to the lotus-like feet of the Guru without pride, that is the third step. And the fourth step is sing the praises and the glories of the Lord, abandoning all deceit or hypocrisy, Shri Ram says. Step 3, Guru Seva. Guru Seva is not just finding someone to call your Guru. It's not just doing the Diksha ceremony and having a mantra whispered into your right ear. That's part of it. But a true Guru, we hear that term often. The true Guru is someone who is deeply invested in your growth. Someone who walks the path ahead of you, but will turn back around to make sure that you are following. And that's the important part. Not just walking the path, turning around to make sure that you are following. And seva to that Guru is not just physical service. It's showing up. It's implementing what you are taught by that Guru. And that Guru could be anyone. Anyone who is teaching you, a well-read, a knowledgeable, a spiritual person, starts with who's the first Gurus in your life? Mata Ji, Pita Ji. Then you would have a Diksha Guru. Then you would have a Vidya Guru, a music Guru, a school Guru. Many Gurus that you'll pass through in your lifetime. And let me be direct. How many of us have received guidance or received something from someone wiser, whether that be a parent or a pundit or an elder in our community, and we would have nodded our heads in that moment and say, yes, we understand, yes, we know, but when we went home, we did the same exact thing that we've done before. That is not Guru Seva. Guru Seva is when the teachings or the words of Katha changes your behavior. It changes how you speak to your children. It changes how the choices that you make when no one is watching. And Shabari, she continued to honor her Guru's words. Remember, stay, serve, wait. She honored it every day for decades. That is Guru Seva. Not in ceremonies, but in the consistency to the Guru. Step 4 is Kirtan. Having God in your mind all day. Devotees Kirtan is more than just singing bhajans on a beautiful Friday night like tonight. Although that's a nice place to start. The deeper meaning of Kirtan is keeping God in your consciousness throughout the day. You see, our mind is always chanting something. The mind is a very interesting thing. It's always chanting something. Sit quietly for 2 minutes and watch what your mind will do. It will start to replay conversations. It will start to rehearse an argument that you may have had. It will loop the same anxieties or the same fears over and over. But you know what Kirtan is? It's the practice of taking this mind and choosing what you want to fill it with. When you wake up in the morning, before you pick up your phone, or before you start your day, or put TV on, or do whatever it is that you do, what is the first word or name that comes out of your mouth? And I hope it's Ram. That is how we must start our day. Having Bhagwan, that's Kirtan. And Shabari, every morning as she swept that path, every time she tasted a berry, every time she thought of Shri Ram, every evening she waited and watched the gate. His name was in her heart. She was always chanting. She just never stopped. And we listen next in Ramayana Chaupai. Ram, Siya Ram, Siya Ram, Jai Jai Ram. Ram, Siya Ram, Siya Ram, Jai Jai Ram. Siya Ram, Siya Ram, Jai Jai Ram. Ram, Siya Ram, Siya Ram, Jai Jai Ram. Jai Jai Rama, Jai Ram Shri Ram, Jai Jai Rama, Jai Ram Shri Ram, Jai Jai Rama, Jai Ram Shri Ram, Jai Jai Rama. All the night I felt that I've been doing most talking and I've been doing most singing, and I have the ability to dismiss all of you tonight. So until I start hearing some voices, we won't sing the Shabari. So together, easy words. Jai Ram Shri Ram, Jai Jai Rama, Jai Ram Shri Ram, Jai Jai Rama. I love all of you. And we have food, I promise. Give us a little more energy so one listening live can hear us. Together, bolo. Jai Ram Shri Ram, Jai Jai Rama, Jai Ram Shri Ram, Jai Jai Rama. Okay, I must give myself. I'll give it to you now. Let's go. Jai Ram Shri Ram, Jai Jai Rama, Jai Ram Shri Ram, Jai Ram Shri Ram, Jai Jai Rama. Mantra japa mama dera vishwasa, pancham bhajan sudhira prakasha, chakradam sila priyati bahukarma, nirat nirantar sayantar sarandarma. Jai Ram Shri Ram, Jai Ram Shri Ram, Jai Jai Rama, Jai Ram Shri Rama, Sattva Sammohi Jai Jagadeka, Moti Santa Ajik Karideka, Tatva Jatalabha Santosha, Sapne Ho Nahi Dekha Dosha. Jai Ram Shri Ram, Jai Jai Rama, Jai Ram Shri Ram, Jai Jai Rama, Jai Ram Shri Ram. Navam Saral Sab Sanjadhina, Mama Bharosa Hiya Harshadhina, Navam Bhudi Ko Jinake Hoi, Nari Puro Sachar Koi. Jai Ram Shri Ram, Jai Jai Rama, 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 Jai Ram Shri Ram, Jai Jai Rama. Shyam Ramachandra ki jai. Mantra japa mama drida vishwasa, pancham bhajana sobheda prakasha. He's saying to Shabari, the fifth step, chant my name with unwavering, firm and faith and devotion. That is the fifth step. You see, the word mantra comes from two roots. Manas, the mind, and trana, which protects or liberates the mind. So a mantra is something that helps liberate the mind. But devotees' mantras aren't just magical formulas. It's not a transaction to be paid with Bhagwan. It is not that say these words and watch all your problems disappear, because I wish it was that way, but it's not. A mantra is a vehicle. A mantra is a vehicle that can carry your consciousness from the noise of the world into the stillness of divine. You know what simple words we just sang? I'm sure and I hope you would have felt a little goosebumps or a little trickle. That stillness of divine, when you chant the name of Shri Ram, when you sit with your mala at home and you're counting each bead, what are you actually doing? You are training the mind. You are teaching it that there's something very important, something more important than the next distraction in your life, something more important than the next worry that you may have, something more important than an argument or vexation that you may have. And doing or saying mantra, especially in japa, it builds something that Tulsidas says here, drid, faith. He is saying that when you have faith, drid, you are going to attain something else called vishwas. And don't lose me in terminology. He's saying that after having faith, you're going to have something called confidence. But how do you get from faith to having confidence? Through repetition of Bhagwan's name. Think about it this way. The first time that you would have sat for japa, your mind would start to wander, and it would happen to everyone. Your mind would start to wander after saying the first 5 mantras. You start to think of something else. And then after the next time you do it, you will be good up to 10 mantras, and then your mind will start to wander. Then after reaching the 100th time, then your mind may start to wander. But then eventually something starts to settle in your mind. The mantra that you're saying starts to sit in the body. It starts to sit in the breath that you stay and in all the spaces of your thoughts. The mantra holds that space alone. And then one day, when something difficult happens in our life, when we have a crisis, or we have a moment of loss, or we have a moment of fear, and instead of panicking, that name will arise, Ram, 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 Ram. Not because you decided to chant it ordinarily, but because it was already there. It's just like working out. If you're doing numerous reps and sets or whatnot, you start to build that strength. So too in mantra japa. Faith is saying that I believe that God is there. Vishwas, the confidence, says that even in the harshest of storms, I am not afraid because Bhagwan is there. Because that name is in me, in my heart, in my mind. That name of Sri Hari. And practically speaking, devotees, I ask you to do one task this Navratri. I won't give too much homework or you won't get too much tasks to do. But try it. Mantra japa, Amala, Rudrakshara, 108 beads, every morning or evening, Sandhya hour, before the distractions, before the phone call, before turning on the news and seeing all the plights of the world. Just you and the name of God, simple Ram. Om Namah Shivaya, Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya, Om Dham Ganapate Namah, Om Dum Durgaya Namah. From 5 minutes doing it, 10 minutes you do it, 15 minutes, after 108 you will want to go on the next lap around. Trust me, it happens. You want to constantly keep the name of God in your mind, because japa is not a sprint. Shabari's life was not a sprint, it was a marathon. Her entire life was japa. Every sweep of the broom she made, it was in his name. Every berry that she picked, it was in the name of Ram. And every morning as she watched that gate Rama, she was waiting for Shri Ram. She didn't need the mala, and eventually we won't need it because we'll always have Ram in our mind. She had become the mala. The 6th step, it says, Chata Namashila Virati Bho Karma Nirat Nirant Sajan Dharma. Restraint of senses, good conduct, detachment from the excessive worldly actions, and constant engagement in the duties of a righteous person. Shri Ram is saying this. It talks of a term called Dhamma. What is Dhamma? Dhamma is choice. You see, humans, we were given a funny theme that is, say, free will. Humans have the free will to do virtually anything that we conjure up in our mind. But Dhamma is the idea of choosing, is the practice that I'm working on, is it servicing me or am I servicing it? Is it ruling me or am I ruling it? So devotees, take some time. That 5 minutes of stillness in the morning that I speak of, that one meal without having to watch the television or have YouTube playing or have a distraction, that one evening of a week that you will spend in Mandir instead of doing something else, that is Dhamma. Though it may not be great sacrifices, it's the beginning of Dhamma. It says the Shabari lived with Dhamma completely. No excess, no distractions, no indulgences, just the simplicity and the beauty of the ashram. The path, the basket, the waiting. She found simplicity in everything. That's Dhamma. The seventh step says, Satavasama mohime jagadeka mote santa divikanaleka. To see God, to see the entire world as a manifestation of God. Do we do that? Do we see it in every being? Do we see it in every inanimate or animate objects? Do we see it in the little small animals? Do we see it in the insects, in the world, in anything? We see that God exists. And it also goes on to say that you consider the noble and pious souls in this world just like you all are greater than God Himself. And you may think of that perplexing. How can we be greater than God? But once you're living a noble and pious life, you are akin to the beauty and energy of Bhagwan. And this is one of the most profound lines. Don't lose me at that. Almost done. We're almost done 9 steps. Ram is just saying, not just be balanced. He's saying, don't just get angry. He's saying, change how you see the world. What is your outlook? What is your viewpoint? Do you see the world through Sama? When you do that, you don't see problems. You see solutions. You see God in different costumes and different energies. You see the outcome and the opportunity different in our lives. Sama says that there's God in each and every one of you, even that person that you may not like. Respond with love, serve with love, do your duty with love. The saint and the pious soul is to be honored greater than God Himself, because the saint or the saintly ones help to make God visible to us. You know, devotees, I ask you another question. I asked them plenty questions tonight, but it's to help you think and fickle the mind. How many of us carry resentment? How many of us carry this thing that sits on our chest, even if it's at family gatherings? Things that when you see someone enter a room, you feel cold because that person walked in. We feel it. It's human nature. But I urge you to know that that resentment does not punish the person that you're resenting. That resentment will sit in your body. It will sit in your chest. It will poison your prayers. And you cannot have the full experience of bhakti with it. Let it go. See the world as God. Serve the world as God. And the world will see you as God in return. That is Dhamma. The 7th step Shri Ram is saying to Shabari. He then goes on to say, Atavajata lava santosha, sapane ho nahi dekahi paradosha. The 8 is to be content, santosh, with whatever that one has obtained, not to see or speak the faults of others, even in a dream. Santosh means contentment. And in order to gain contentment, we need virati. I know I'm saying a lot of terminology, but we need virati. Detachment. In order to be content, we must become detached. Do everything, my devotees, that you are meant to truly do. Be a good parent. Be a good spouse. Be a good child. Be a good worker in your job. Fulfill your dharma duty completely. Shri Ram says it's a fiction, Ramayana. Raghukula Rita Sarachalaya Prana Jaya Pravachana Jaya. I will give my word for the upkeepment of my what? I'll give my life for the upkeepment of my word, firstly, but to give it to upkeep my duty. Do not let the results of other things determine your duty. As I said earlier, when you perform your seva, do it without applause. When you're practicing a life of devotion and bhakti, detachment is important. And when you're doing something, especially when it comes to seva, am I doing it for me or am I doing it for praise? Am I doing it for God or am I doing it for recognition? And Shabari, not one person ever acknowledged what she did. Not one rishi ever told her thank you. Not one person ever noted those thorns that I spoke of that was in her skin. She collected those berries for decades, and not a single person ever told her thank you. But she was never doing it for acknowledgement. She was doing it for Ram. She was doing it for the ultimate goal of virati, for detachment. Fully in the world, but only Ram was on the mind. And step 9, Shri Ram says, Navam sarada sabasan chalahina mama baros hiya harashnarina. The 9th is living life simple. Having full simplicity, being innocent in dealings with all without ever deceiving anyone, and to keep the trust of the Lord in your heart with neither excessive joy or excessive grief. Shri Ram is saying, don't ever let your dealings with others be deceitful. Always have in your mind that I'm going to attain what? Moksha. We want to attain moksha. We want to attain liberation. That is what we're here for now. Not for asking Bhagwan a shopping list of desires, but that when my time has called, when Yamraj comes, you are content with the 8 steps that we read of, and that when it comes to gaining moksha, that your life would have never been one of deceit. You would have always have Bhagwan in your heart and in your mind. Shri Ram goes on to say, Navamahu ek ko jinake hui, nari purush sacharacha koi. Whoever possesses even one of these 9, whether man or woman, whether human being or any creation, that person was Shabari. That person is most dear to me. And you, Shabari, you have possessed all 9 forms of devotion. You are amongst the most beloved of my devotees. That complete surrender, my dear friends, that complete surrender that Shabari have done, I want you to do it too. Say that I have done everything in my power to serve the Lord. I have shown up, I have served, I have prayed, I have tried. That would have been your mental prayer. And now I'm releasing myself to the outcome, to the timeline that I place in the hands of the Lord. So much of our sufferings come from the gap between what we really want and what life turns out to be sometimes, no? Sometimes we want the illness to heal a little faster. Sometimes we want the relationship to work out a little different. Sometimes we want the child to make a little bit better choices. But what you're doing here, that 9th step, is surrendering yourself in a practice and opening those clenched hands to Bhagwan. Saying that, Bhagwan, I trust your timing more than anything else. I trust what you are building in my life, Prabhu. It is greater for than what I could even plan for. And Shabari, after Shri Ram has accepted her berries, after he teaches her these 9 steps, you know what Shabari does? She doesn't ask for more time. You know, you would say, well, I'm in the presence of God, Bhagwan give me this, Bhagwan give me that. She doesn't ask for more time. All she does is she asks us for his permission. And then she lets go completely. In one lifetime and in one visit, in one moment of complete surrender, she finally became free. And as I close on our final doha, we hear what happens with Shabari. Ram, Siya Ram, Jai Jai Ram. Ram, Siya Ram, Jai Jai Ram. Oh, Jati Nagar Janamahi, Mukti Ki Hasi Nari Ram. Siya Ram, Jai Jai Ram. Ram, Siya Ram, Jai Jai Ram. Oh Devotees, let us look at the ladder that we just climbed. From satsang to katha, to guru seva, to kirtan, to mantra jap, to drin, vishwas, dhamma, sama, virati, moksha. We climbed a very high ladder tonight. Devotees, Shabari never read, and this is the privilege that we had, she never read in Navratri Bhakti. She never attended a kathan like you are hearing tonight. She never memorized the 9 steps of devotion. All she did was live them in real time. One morning at a time, one act of seva at a time, one faithful day hoping to see Shri Ram at a time. And that is the most important lesson of tonight. And that's what I leave you with my closing message. Is bhakti is not what you know. Bhakti is what you do. Every day in those small things, in those small acts, those unseen moments, and choices that nobody tends to see. That is bhakti, having devotion to God. And devotees, after that sacred conversation happened between Shri Ram and Shabari, Shabari looked at Shri Ram one final time and she asked for his permission. She had waited her entire life for this moment, and now that it came, she was ready, not in grief and not in defeat, in completion. And Shri Ram's blessing to her, Shabari entered Agni. And in that flame she was liberated. Liberated with eternal moksha. In one lifetime, just a woman from a tribal village. Just a woman who waited with a full heart, who served without any reward, who loved without any condition, and whose love was enough for her maker. Devotees, the Ramayana does not just tell us alone how extraordinary and exceptional Shabari was because of what she had. She didn't have anything, but it was what she gave to the Lord, and what each and every one of us can give to Bhagwan. Shabari Chandra ki and devotees, I know that was a lot, but I just thank each and every one of you for giving me the privilege and the honor to share a few words from Ramchatramanas and Katha. You will be seeing me again tonight as we join in Devi Bhagwan. We listen to Chandrakanta Mata, that fierce, that ferocious, that strong form of Devi. The nights continue in Navratri. We have 2 more nights with Pandit Ravishkar and the remaining with Pandit Raviji. And I wouldn't say much more, we are ready with overtime, but after this we will have I believe, some offerings being done. Uncle Tony is going to say a few words. You wouldn't hear me after this, other than so yeah, you wouldn't hear me much again tonight, other than this, other than Hawan and Arti and our closing prayer. We have a few offerings that they want to make. In that meantime, we'll have Uncle sing us a bhajan. And I just want to make a special request announcement, wishing happy birthday to Jonathan. And today is his birthday. Give him a little round of applause to Jonathan. Happy birthday. Celebratory, we have the gifts. He went outside, but still, that was for him. And we'll listen to bhajan by Uncle. And then, like I said, following Hawan, Arti. I hope to see you all again tomorrow to come out and support. Find yourself in the home of the Lord and join together, like we said, in Satsang Katha to Bhagwan. Adi Shakti Jagdamba Mata ki Jai.
देवी भुक्ति मुक्ति प्रदायिनी मंत्र मूर्ति सदा देवी महालक्ष्मी नमस्ते जय 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 जगजननी भवानी ओ रामा भवानी ओ रामा अचल बरदानी जय जगजननी भवानी जय जगजननी भवानी रामा अचल बरदानी जय जगजननी सतगुरु जिनका नाम है, खत के भीतर दान, ऐसे दीन दयाल को बारंबार परमेश्वर ते गुरु बने हो, तुम देखो रे पुराण, देख भरी गायो के कि गुरु गरी है भगवान। गुरुदेव दया करके मुझको अपना देना, गुरुदेव दया शरण पराते शरणों में लगा देना गुरुदेव दया करके मैं शरण पराते गुरुदेव दया करके अपना गुरुदेव दया करके मुझको अपना देना मुझको अपना देना मुझको अपना
Adishakti Mata ki jai. We clap hands together, we cover our heads. If we have our knees, we perform our offering to Bhagwan. Om Purnamidam Purnat Purnadachyate Purnasya Purnamadaya Purnameva Vashishyate Om Samgay Purnamam Swaha Om Samgay Purnamam Swaha Om Samgay Purnamam Swaha Om Akshmanyam Samarapayami Om Shashahan Swad Agni Pasavahar Om Papoham Papa Karmaham Papa Atma Papa Sambhava Trayimam Pundari Kaksha Sarva Papa Haro Hari Om Manaspatira Shurutam Gannayo Gannanatamagya Sarvivanam Rupoyam Pratikritam Shri Agni Devata ki Jai. I invite all you to perform Aarti. Areas are made available, tablis are made available. You can join together. We sing in Aarti. Om Jai Jagadish Hare Swami Jai Jagadish Hare Bhart Jano ke sankat Taat Jano ke sankat Om Jai Jagadish Hare Swami Jai Jagadish Hare Jai Jagadish Hare Swami Jai Jagadish Hare Bhart Jano ke
स्वामी तुम अंतर्यामी पार ब्रह्म परमेश्वर तुम सबके स्वामी ओम जय जगदीश सुन मेरी देवी पर्वत वासिनी तेरा पार न पाया तेरा पार न पाया हो सुन मेरी देवी पर्वत वासिनी तेरा पार न पाया तेरा पार न पाया पान सुपारी बजा नारियल पान सुपारी बजा नारियल पान सुपारी बजा नारियल पान सुपारी बजा नारियल तेरे बिन चढ़ाया तेरे बिन चढ़ाया सुन मेरी देवी पर्वत वासिनी तेरा पार न पाया तेरा पार न पाया सतयुग द्वापर से कमलाए सतयुग द्वापर से कमलाए कलयुग राज सहाया कलयुग राज सहाया मेरी देवी पर्वत वासिनी तेरा पार न पाया तेरा पार न पाया सुन मेरी देवी पर्वत
As we put hands together and pray in an adoration, तंत्र मंत्र तू जान नहीं जानू मैं तो केवल तुम कोई मानू ओ प्रभु I may not know any tantra, I may not know any mantra, I may not know any yantra, I may not even know how to say Om, but what I do know how to do, Prabhu, is I know how to love. We sing together. Prabhu ji daya karo man mein आन बसो प्रभु जी दया करो मन में आन बसो तंत्र मंत्र पूजा नहीं जानो तंत्र मंत्र पूजा नहीं जानो मैं तो केवट तुमको ही मानो मैं तो केवट तुमको ही मानो प्रभु जी प्रभु जी प्रभु जी दया मन में आनंदसु मंगलम भगवान विष्णु मंगलम गरुड़ध्वज मंगलम पुंडरीकाक्ष मंगलाय तनोहरे सर्वे भवन्तु सुखिनः सर्वे सन्तु निरामया सर्वे भद्राणि पश्यन्तु मा कश्चित् दुःखभाग् भवेत् always त्वमेव माता च पिता त्वमेव बन्धुः च सखा त्वमेव विद्या द्रविणं त्वमेव सर्वं मामदेव ॐ शान्ति शान्ति शान्तिः हरि आदिशक्ति जगदम्बा माता की जय श्याम रामचंद्र की जय सत्य सनातन धर्म की जय नमः पार्वती पट हर हर महादेव. My dear devotees, I hope you have a wonderful weekend ahead of you. I hope to see you all again tomorrow and for the remaining 9 nights. Humble Shri Ram pranams. Om Tat Sat.